working with Aluxy was like having an in-house team. Dana or Mr. D, depending on who you're asking. I'm a 20 plus year veteran of the hospitality industry. I offer freelance consulting services in restaurant operations, training, and event production. And this platform helps restaurants be better restaurants. It allows managers to more effectively communicate valuable information to their teams and ultimately improving the experiences for employees, guests, and improving profitability. My co-founder had recently exited from the company. He had been the technical co-founder, and I was without any development resources. My expertise is in restaurants and people, and I needed a partner that could develop quickly and that I could easily communicate with and that was available. I felt like I could trust you. I think a lot of conversations with vendors, you feel like you're being sold. There's a sort of inauthenticity to the conversation where they're saying words, but you're not actually connecting as human beings. And I think as a founder of a company that I really deeply care about, I needed to know that the person that was coming on board was somebody that I could vibe with and trust. And you established that immediately for me, and made it very easy to decide to work with you. I had, in previous versions of Meesbox, before it was Meesbox, I had worked with other development teams in various places, or on other projects I'd worked with other development teams. And there was also something comforting about, I speak Spanish as a second language. You and most of your team is based in Mexico. And so even if there were communication barriers, I felt confident between the two languages that we would be able to communicate. Of course, most of the time we speak English, 99% of the time we're speaking English to each other. But yeah, we sometimes just have to a little bit trust your gut. After working with you, when we first started, I think I didn't really understand how big of a platform, how complex of an app I had. And it was through your eyes coming onto the project that I was like, whoa, this is actually a pretty sophisticated, for a startup, at our size, like it is a pretty sophisticated app. And it was really helpful to be able to speak to you about, we had to basically in some ways start over. We shifted our hosting services, we shifted components, we did major architectural changes that I sort of sought your advice in that, and you led me, and it was great. And then once we established those architectural foundations, we started to explore working with developers on your team. And 3 years later, working with you and the team at Aluxy has made us a better company, because again, as a non-technical co-founder, it was really great to work with engineers. And now not only does the company have structures around ticketing, bug fixes, project management, and all the things that go into, we have a robust Jira instance. We have lots of tools that I didn't really know that I needed, and we were able together to kind of scale those tools and make them the most useful. I think there's a trap that sometimes I think Asana talks about work, where it's like sometimes setting up Asana or setting up Jira or setting up whatever it is takes more time than actually doing the thing or using the tool. And that wasn't really the case when we were building the tools that we needed. Our communication was pretty streamlined, and you made it really easy. And our product is better today than 3 years ago when we started, because of you and the team that I've been very grateful to work with over this time. As your product gets bigger, there's various silos or verticals that product gets bigger, there are different lanes that you need to spend your energy. And when you're a lean company like Meesbox with just a couple developers, do you spend your energy bug fixing? Do you spend your energy building new features? Do you spend your energy iterating on features that already exist? And we were able to work through ideation, and the developers that were on the team, it wasn't just a punch list of like, okay, now I have to code. It was a conversation. It was, you're in the code, so tell me what you see, and it was really valuable to be able to pivot when necessary and say, okay, you know what, we have to take a month and fix this thing, and then we can go back to whatever we needed to. And the flexibility and the nimble structure of the team that we had developed together was incredible, and made it in some ways easier for me as a founder to do what I needed to do, because I could trust that what was happening properly. And if it wasn't, then we could talk about it very easily. I mean, in a lot of ways, working with Aluxy was like having an in-house team. Like, we had a Slack channel. Like, I talked to my developers every day. It really, while there was a vendor client relationship, working with Aluxy felt like an in-house development team, which was great. Well, I'll start with the last part first, which absolutely I would recommend Aluxy for similar sized teams if that's who you're looking for. I would also imagine that you could probably get a team for a larger business than what Meesbox is, but as a small startup, I would 1000% recommend Aluxy, you and the team, to other businesses. That's not even a question. Of course I would. And then in terms of Meesbox, we startups themselves are volatile, and I work in the restaurant industry. Our core client is restaurants. And so we had a little bit of volatility really for the first time at the end of last year. A number of our clients closed. We had some hotels on the platform that we were very lucky to have for a long time. It was a good source of revenue, but not really product market fit. It wasn't exactly what Meesbox is built for. And so we had a few of those leave the platform as well. And this is the first attrition, certainly at this scale, but really almost ever, that we've had. So we're doing a little bit as a business, unrelated to Aluxy, we're doing a little bit of strategic rethinking about what it is that we need to build, what is the market, who's our core client. And we have, like I said at the top of our call, Meesbox is a pretty sophisticated piece of software. There's some core issues with components and sort of tech debt that needs to be resolved. But I think in terms of feature development, I think we're at a place where we have established core features that people are using, and we understand what people are using and what is helpful or not helpful. And I think now that those are built, it's a question of usability and access. So Meesbox, I would like to make Meesbox more accessible at a lower price point to more people, and add a lot more automation. There's some things in the workflow of getting your information from your restaurant world into Meesbox that there's friction that can be eliminated or significantly reduced. And I think improving usability and improving design are the two sort of meta categories of what's next for Meesbox. I think we're at a good place where there's not necessarily anything new that we need to build. It's taking what we have and making it more available and easier to use and more accessible for more people.